Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Hustlerpod. We are your hosts, Holly and Alex. And today we are going to be talking about something a little heavy.
Yeah.
We'll try to keep it as light as we can, but what we really want to accomplish here is connect. Connect with people who are going through this, connect with people who are watching others go through this. We are going to be talking about the super fun, super exciting, super light topic of immigration in America.
Yeah. And actually what's going on with ICE in the cities of LA, Chicago, and
New York.
New York is going wild. And then we feel like very close to this because I'm an immigrant and most of the things that has happened in America have been done for a lot of immigrants. So if you are very connected or close to this, please comment down below. And if you knew, because first of all, this is not any advice. We're not going to give you any advice. We're not attorneys. We're just,
No legal advice to be given here.
Yeah.
However, we do want to connect with real people going through the motions.
100%. We
Yeah.
just want to give you guys our feedback about what's going on. So it's not a secret that in LA and the cities that we have mentioned it before, ICE is like going wild and taking people. And we're going to dive into some topics that we've been doing research about. But Holly, what do you want to talk about first? What do you think is the most important topic?
I think the first thing that was striking to us and the reason that we really decided, okay, let's talk about this a little bit, is that we're all going through extreme change very quickly.
Yeah.
In regards to immigration. We're all watching it happen in real time, and we're seeing a lot of noise on the internet. We're seeing a lot of conflicting information, even from normally credible news sources, and not to their fault because things are changing so quickly and people's lives are being impacted. Families are being impacted. Businesses are being impacted. Someone is being impacted by what is going on with the immigration landscape in the United States of America right now. And for me, this became even more jarring and more uncomfortable because of what we saw this weekend happening with ICE in downtown LA. And for those of you that don't know, I am a native Southern Californian. I was born here. So seeing that happen in my backyard is crazy. And of course, things like this have happened before, but California, generally speaking, has been known as being a sanctuary state. So to see this going on in my home, that I feel safer than where I was living the last 4 years, which is in South Florida, it's uncomfortable. So I really wanna talk about life in America as an immigrant, coming from your perspective, a fresh immigrant, but also I want to feel the landscape out and see, like, what are your thoughts on this? What has been happening in your life around this or someone that you know's life if you are an immigrant yourself? I really just want to get this create this safe space for us to have this discussion.
So, how do I feel about this? I have no idea what's going on. Um,
I
because
mean, same.
yeah, immigration right now
We're trying to
yeah,
know
but
what's
it's
going
it's
on.
going so crazy that we have no idea what's gonna happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
And of course, I have really good like close friends that I having um some crazy situations right now because again they don't even know if they're gonna be here. They don't even know if their papers because thank God most of the and I'm talking about myself in this case as Cuban, we have like some special if you could call it that way, like immigration policies.
Yes.
So
I'm actually happy that you're mentioning that and that you're acknowledging that because it is true that and I know that you also always come from a place of gratitude for that
yeah,
you in your
100%.
journey. Yes.
So most of my friends, also Cubans, but to the people like Mexican people, they've been here for years and they have made a lot of things here in the United States and they have nothing now because they're trying to kick you off. That's really sad. And me having papers, having everything in order, sometimes I'm freaking out because I don't know what's gonna happen. And my dream has become true so far. Like coming to the United States, trying to make it happen, trying to help my family and you know, building the American dream, which is
Yeah.
not we're gonna be talking about that as an immigrant, but which is not just coming here, you know? There are a lot of things involved when it comes to having the American dream, for an immigrant, which is completely different
Yeah.
to, to you as an American. Um, but to your point, I have no idea. There's nothing I can do right now.
Things are changing
Yeah.
every single day, every week. We're hearing that, "Oh, no, now it's this," or "The court stopped it, but now the court's going through with it," or "ICE is doing this." It it's just it's like the Wild West
Yeah.
right now with what's going on, and, in Florida, it felt very uncomfortable to me because in Florida, especially in South Florida, rather, ICE and the police were buddies, it was risky to even just get pulled over in Florida as an immigrant in South Florida. Where here, it is separate, but it's starting to feel like that line is blurring as well,
Yeah.
with what is going on. We've seen huge deportations happening almost without thought. Um, the legal implications of this are unknown.
Yeah. I didn't even know if that's legal, because I get it. You want to deport criminals, you want to deport people who have, I don't know, some background, and that's okay. I would do it. But for what I've, seen on social media, they're taking whoever they think is an immigrant just because of your skin color. And then they're
Right,
gonna
if you
be
speak another language,
yeah,
if
they're
you
gonna
yeah.
be like probably processing your case, whatever. But that's insane. What if you have no paper? What if you are just trying to make a living? And I don't know. It's really sad, and at the same time, it's embarrassing for American people like you, for example, that we've been talking about this, and you feel bad because you know how it feels. You're very close to that, and but give me another perspective about what do you think as an American about the immigration process, what's going on, and what's your vision and your feedback?
For me personally,
Yeah,
as an American who grew up in Southern California, which is historically Baja Mexico, immigration and immigrants were such a big part of my life, whether it was friends of mine that were immigrants or were children of immigrants. So I personally knew so many people who were going through the process or had been through the process, or had family members who were undocumented. And at that time, there were some protections, especially for those students who were born to who are immigrants,
yeah.
but even that's changing. We're seeing that changing now. I feel like what's happening now is we're going backwards by decades in immigration processing. And to me, America is a country that is founded on immigrants, that is who we are. So for this to be going on in such a military way, it makes me feel anxious and powerless.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine how immigrants are feeling
Yeah.
if I'm feeling this way.
I I would say that it's so much like tension, insecurity, and you feel so vulnerable. Like again, they're even taking bank accounts out. And
And imagine that these are people who have been paying taxes, who have been working, who have been contributing
yeah, they've been
to
making a
their
living.
communities.
And I'm trying to think because again, there is a difference between being an immigrant and being an immigrant without papers.
Yeah.
Um, but
But even an immigrant, though, with papers or an immigrant who's in motion, it's still uncertain.
yeah, yeah,
You can still get yourself into a situation, even if you're like, I have things in motion.
yeah, they don't care.
They don't care.
They don't care. But something that you might know, guys, is that no matter what, you have rights and you have access to lawyers, attorneys, And what is sad is that I don't even know if they're counting on if you have access to it. Like you're going back to whatever is the country that you come from, and that's it. They don't care. I don't even know how the process is. What I do know is that being an immigrant is so crazy wild mental wise. Like
Yeah.
you go through a lot of things in your
Mhm.
mind that now that you have made for the people that they've been here for a month, that's okay. But there's some people here that've been here for years.
Yeah. Their life is here.
Yeah. And when you come, there is a process. I don't even know what it's called. Probably a psychologist, they know. But this contrast and this click that you make when you think that you have made some changes in your life. And then you go from have nothing to have a little bit, and you pick emotionally speaking that you're fine, whatever, and then comes to this middle black situation. I don't even know how to call it, but it's crazy what's going on. That you think they're gonna cliff again, and who knows if you go to your country and what's your future? They don't even think about it. They don't care. It's like you're now supposed to be here. Just go.
So what you're telling me though about this mindset, this is something that is very exclusive to the immigrant experience.
Yeah,
So you're passing through that right now.
100%.
And you are coming from a unique situation, just like everyone else is. They're coming from whether it's dangerous situations, whether it's extreme poverty, or in Cuba, there's many.
Everything.
Like you
Yeah.
ball it all up into one. But for you, talk about that. Talk about what that sensation is and how that could be feeling to someone who you get here,
Hmm.
you have this idea, you're this mentality shift,
Okay.
and now it's kind of being like almost like trying to force you to change it. Like they're trying to push immigrants to feeling so uncomfortable that they don't want to be here.
Yeah. What I think is this. Again, it depends about what kind of immigrant you are.
Yeah.
In my case, for example, I had always this dream of coming to this country and make it happen here. So I'm not gonna go back. There's no way of coming back. I'm gonna do whatever I can, whatever is in my hands to make it happen here. Sadly, that's not the case for everyone. But to your point, if you come to this country and you have this mentality, number one, you need to know that things like this might happen in the future. So you need to make sure that whatever it is that you're gonna do, you need to make it like legally speaking, you need to make things right. And you need to how can I say this in English? We have a phrase or say it in Spanish is said, um, tienes que tener siempre una carta bajo la manga, which means is you need to have always a plan B.
Yeah.
In this case, plan B is not like coming back is not even a plan B. By plan B, it means like always having the plan A, which is staying here, but you need to have the plan B, which is another option, whether it is you get I don't know if it's possible for the people that are undocumented, they don't even have papers here, but there might be a way. And for us Cubans, we have this privilege of because of the political situation that we have, and after a year and a day you can apply for your residency and all the stuff, which is great. So you need to come. In my case, I came, I knew what I was doing, and I'm doing what I have to make it happen. But um, even though you have that mentality and all that, sometimes it's like you think, is it gonna be possible? And
Yeah.
when is gonna happen? And
Yeah.
because you came and you had this, but then Trump came in action and it was like everything changed.
Yeah.
So that's
And regardless of what side of the political spectrum that you sit on, things have changed. There's just no denying that.
hmm
And things have become more difficult. There's no denying that. USCIS is also even if you're processing all of this, USCIS is backlogged
Yep.
with so many applications. it takes who knows how long.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah. So that being said, I would like to ask you, and I want you to share, like, it's difficult to get into the United States. Once you're here, now all of the paperwork, all of the semantics become difficult. They're changing all the time under this administration. Is it worth it? And why here?
To me, yes, it is worth it because again, um, how can I say this? You have this dream of coming to this country, and no matter what, you have to make it happen. And again, as a Cuban, you have some privileges, so you can either apply. If they say no, you gotta go back. You have some options. You can apply for asylum if you have, again, if you have some proof that you've been threatened or whatever in Cuba, so you can do that, or you can find all the options. But it is worth it. It is a process, mental, uh, like it can break you down sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, and personally speaking, is harder because I'm solo here in this country, and I'm not the only one. Of course, there's so many people that they made it here. They're solo, and it's tough
Yeah.
because you think that you come here and you have this mentality. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna do whatever I can, but you don't know America. You don't know how it works. You don't know
And it's changing.
all the processes that you have to go through in order to have the regular life that you've always been dreaming about.
Yeah.
Because you think that, I mean, in Cuba, nothing works. And here, everything works, but everything takes a lot of time. Everything takes a lot of work. And um, you need to be ready to come and you need to be ready to change. You need to be ready to think a little bit about your future and leave your past a little bit behind,
Mm.
which is hard.
Yeah.
Because in most cases, you come, but you still have family there. But you need, again, to think about yourself first.
Yeah.
If you want to, move forward, and then at some point, you want to see your family again, which I don't have this like opinion of going back to Cuba by any means, because Cuba is a country that if you are leaving, it's because you feel like that's not the place for you. So don't go back. And I get it. You have
Mm.
family. You want to go back at some point because you feel that like it's your roots.
Yeah.
But that's what immigration is about. Like if you're leaving because of reason. So what do
There
you
is
think
a
of that?
reason. Yeah. That being said, how do you feel like you're staying in touch with your roots? Because it's like, in a sense, you've come here as an adult.
Yeah.
You spent your whole life in Cuba, and the political landscape aside, and there's a lot going on. The country itself is beautiful, rich with history, culture, food, like the that piece of home. How do you bring it into your life and keep yourself connected?
Honestly, I don't think about it. I just
Mm.
be myself.
Yeah.
And the only connection that I have is my family.
Yeah.
But sometimes I don't want to think about Cuba
Right.
as a country because it makes me sad.
Yeah.
Now, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Like there is always, always something going on. Even when you talk to your people, there's always a problem. There's no light, there's no food, there's no water.
Yeah.
I have this broken. I have this
Mm.
another thing broken. Um, and I don't want to talk about it. It's not because I don't want to talk about it. It's because I've been there. And if I came here, it's because I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make it um in order to make the life easier for you, whether it is for my family, my friends, whoever is in Cuba, but I'm not coming back. I'm gonna try to make you come here however I can. But Cuba to me is a chapter closed, which is hard because I have this opinion of whatever you go, you have to, represent your culture, represent your roots. But I'm Cuban. That's all I have to say. I don't have to go back to Cuba to feel that I'm Cuban.
I love that.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't. I can say I said it wherever I go,
Yeah.
and people are gonna know you're
You
Cuban.
can cook
Yeah.
picadillo.
Ah, picadillo
And
pollo, and that's. I mean, I have
we
Cuba.
can listen to music.
Exacto.
We can,
You know,
yes.
I have Cuba in my heart. I don't have to go to Cuba
Yeah.
because going to Cuba now, I don't know in the future if Cuba changes. That's another different story.
Right.
But now you go there and you're gonna start crying. You're gonna start bringing all those memories back.
Yeah.
I know some of my friends. They go to Cuba every time in a while, and every time they go, they come like with a reset, like w- sad again
Mhm, mhm.
with all these thoughts
Comes
about
back.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to work in that
Yeah.
because when I was in Miami, I was in Cuba. You know,
Right.
being in Miami is being in Cuba.
You're being in the capital of Latin America, but especially
Yeah,
Cubans.
and all the topics that you talk about is Cuba. How is Cuba? Blah 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 blah. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's not because again, I don't want to run away. I just want to stay away of the
You wanna hold on to the parts of what make you Cuban that make you feel good.
exactly.
Yeah.
If being Cuban is gonna be talking shit about the country or thinking that Cuba is a mess, whatever. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I want to have a family here. I want to make it happen. And once Cuba changes, I'm gonna take my kids to Cuba and say, hey, this is your route. And I can show them like pictures about how Cuba was when it
Yeah,
was a
of
mess,
course. Yeah.
But I don't think Cuba now is a picture that you want to show to anyone.
No, especially now. Even just in the 10 years that I've been going, um, it's somehow gotten worse.
Yeah. The people have been following the channel, and this is for you guys. So many of you have been, reaching out to the channel. I said this in the chapter 1 of this podcast, but you want to go to Cuba. And number one, you have no idea what Cuba is until you go there. Number two, once you get there, you're gonna start like having a lot of thoughts about Cuba, questions. And I always say that Cuba is the white country because you don't understand a shit. Like, why is this? Why that? Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So once you come back, you're gonna say like, oh my god, I feel sad because I went to this country thinking that I was good, and then you go there and you feel miserable because one of the problems that Americans have is that they give like everything for granted. Like you think that you deserve it all. You think that you have it all, which is true, but sometimes that's your weakness because then I come here without nothing and I make it happen in front of your eyes because
Yeah.
you were like, oh, how do you come here and you just got your papers and you're working your ass off and you become wealthy or whatever because I don't want to be here wasting my time playing PS5. I don't want to come here and be eating shitty burgers and watching Netflix. I come from a country where I had no light, so I had to work. I had no water, so I had to find out. I had no food, so I had to be hustling. You know,
Yep.
it's always this mentality, and people don't understand that. Even
Right.
when I posted the channel, the video about, hey, we're gonna have a podcast, so people were saying, hey, take it easy. It's easy to say take it easy, but it's hard to understand the process of
Yeah.
being an immigrant.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say, just on a side note too, even when I would go to Cuba for 2, 3 weeks at a time, people would be like, "Oh my god, like, how do you handle this, this, and this?" And I was like, "I can handle it for 2 or 3 weeks or a month because I know what I get to go back to." It's anybody can do anything for a day, a week, a month. But when that's your life, that is hard.
Yeah.
I can understand the sentiment of not wanting to go back.
Yeah. So once you come here and you have all the situation, eyes running after you, you're like, there's no way, bro.
Yeah.
You better kill me. I'm not coming back. Well, what is happening in LA is
I'm
wild.
laughing, but I'm like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, what is happening is
Yeah.
is, is wild and people are being hurt and is I know that feeling.
Yeah.
Like whatever it is that you want to do, I'm not gonna be part of that. I'm not gonna go. I'm staying here.
Yeah. So that being said, when you're going through the motions right now, when you're in the process, maybe talk about like what you are doing personally because I find it really inspirational what you're doing.
What do you mean? But what am I doing? What?
You're making things happen.
Like what?
You're making this podcast happen. You're
Yeah.
studying. You're putting your time to good use. And that to me, it inspires me too. And I've talked about this with you before, like when you got here and you just hit the ground running and started taking advantage of the opportunities that are in front of you. It gave me this like fresh eyes that like I, I'm in a country where I can do that. But we here, Americans, we get so focused on the daily grind,
Yeah.
climbing the corporate ladder. And it's true, entrepreneurship or doing it's not for everybody, but I think that there are probably more people who had it in them or have it in them and it's just not out because they're so like the blinders are on and they're stuck in the daily grind and you kind of like just seeing you go through this last few months, it's been almost refreshing for me. It's like it's inspirational.
Yeah. It's refreshing for you, and it's been a nightmare for me because again, I came
You need
here.
to give yourself more credit
Yeah.
though. You really do.
Sometimes it's
Yeah,
hard for me, but sometimes I should.
absolutely.
Um, I came here and I even drove my car without the tag because I had no idea if I could make it happen. And I was like, I bought my first car the first 2 months. Um, and it was like crazy. It was my first car,
Yep.
you know? And I was like, wow, a Honda 2004. That's a good car. And then I started like seeing these people flash people in Miami. I was like, what's going on here? Where's the money? That's the question that I always had. Like, where's my money? Like, who have my money? And of course, thinking about the skills that I have, which is weird. And I'm gonna talk about that later. But when I came here, I was like, I want to make this happen. I had a list of the goals that I want to accomplish, and one of them was like having my um marketing agency or content creation company, however you want to call it. And I made it happen. Only two clients. I made a lot of mistakes. But the reason why I made so many mistakes is because I was trying. And that's the first mistake that Americans have. They don't try. They
Mm.
think it's hard. I get it, it's hard. That's why we do it, because we come from nothing. And it's time consuming. You don't have time because you have spent your life like doing a lot of shit. So you're
Yeah.
now covered and you have no time to
There
do it.
or there's the focus. The focus
Mhm.
shift is just it's not there because we go to school, we think about the career we want, we think about the job we want, we get the degree, we go to the job, and again, the blinders are on and we're just that's what we're doing. And everything outside of that starts to feel daunting or a little bit scary. So it's when I say it's refreshing, it's just refreshing to see this perspective of like the world is your oyster as far as especially when you're here in America.
Yeah.
Uh Load up your plate.
Yeah. I think the only reason why I made it is because I am a immigrant. Like honestly, I've seen like when you drive by, the expressways and you get into whatever city, you see some people selling lime, whatever.
Yeah.
They're immigrants,
Yeah.
but there are people that are making a living out of it.
Yep.
You wouldn't do it
If I mean, I'm gonna do whatever I have to do, I'm gonna be honest at this point in my life.
because you have a baby. But the people watching this, they're in the United States and they have a decent job. They're not going to do it.
Yeah, they're comfortable.
Yeah.
They don't wanna do that.
So
But that being said, this episode being about immigrants, we we need immigrants.
exactly. Not only for selling that, but that person, you give that person a really good job, whatever, and they're gonna make it happen.
Yeah,
If they have to study, they have to get ready for it because they have the
you're
mentality.
improving that life, and they're in turn going to
They have,
that's what makes America great. If you
yeah,
wanna talk about making America great, there you go.
yeah. I honestly, again, I'm not against selling people home if you have crime reports or
Right.
records. But if you are like my friends and I, people who come here, and you don't want to become a president, but you have some dreams. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? And I get it.
And that's why America for you,
Yeah.
because it's the opportunity that you see.
Oh yeah.
And you don't see these opportunities necessarily, or have you just not thought about it in going back, because I love that we're just kind of flowing. But going back, it reminded me, we see these opportunities and we know that they're possible in America. Are they possible elsewhere? And you think about going to another country. Have you thought about going to another country? Or has the dream always been America? Like, what is that mentality?
The thing
I
with
guess.
Cuba and America is number one, it's very close. Number two, because of the how close it was, people used to come here a lot, and so we started like building a community in Miami, Florida, whatever. So most of my family and Cuban's family, they're in the United States. When I was a kid, my dream was always like having whatever my uncle was bringing to Cuba. Hey, I wanna have new clothes. Hey, I wanna have like Bob Esponja, uh, or Mickey Mouse or whatever.
Yeah.
Why not? Why can't I get it? Because you're in Cuba, so you gotta leave. That's the
Mhm.
first
So
thing.
you can get it if
It's
you're in
as
America.
it's as simple as if you see a smartphone
Yeah.
and you bring a smartphone to Africa, which is another country that is crazy.
Continent.
Exactly. But well, talking about a specific whatever, Congo, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, if there is a guy that they want to get it and they know that it's built in the United States, the first question that is going to come to their mind is, I gotta leave.
Mm.
That happened to me. Like, if I'm a kid of 12 years old and I'm playing PS1 and I having like really good food and I see that my uncle bring a lot of things that I don't have, even at that time, toilet paper or clothing or soft drinks, whatever.
Right.
I'm like, this is not a place for me, you know? And I was a kid. Some people, again, they don't even think about it. But I, since I was like 12, I had this in mind, like, I have to live. And then, um, when you got here, it's like, I don't know, America. You think you know, but you don't know.
Yeah.
But again, what was the question?
You did answer it, you did answer it. I know we were getting off, but topic there, you answered it, is why America? But it's because, again, you have this perspective of like, wow, look at all of look at everything that America has
Mm-hmm.
and that you can get.
Hmm.
But now I think, like you're saying, you don't know America. There are a lot of things here, but there's also a lot of opportunity here. There are a lot of the invisible things. And another thing that now I want to circle back to, because again, we're not only talking about things, we're talking about opportunities, building a life, building a business, raising a family. So it's not only about what you have, right? But who you are and
Hmm.
who you build around you. But another thing that made me fall in love with the country when you got here, or it made me have this newfound perspective of the country. Because for the longest time, I felt very embarrassed about what was just going on in America, and I felt very embarrassed about being American. Blessed to have the freedoms I do, the opportunities that I do, but also just embarrassed with everything that was going on. But you also made me fall in love with the country, not just for the things that I know that I can accomplish if I want. If I'm
Hmm.
being aggressive and going for it, I can. And this is what brings me back to this whole like why America situation. And what makes the situation here even more I guess it brings me closer to this situation in many ways that we're experiencing right now with immigration, the changes to immigration, the administration that we, uh, are dealing with right now, and the daily struggles, not only of Cubans and, we've talked about your immigrant experience and your perspective as an immigrant from Cuba, but some immigrants have almost no options, like we were discussing, and some people might be thinking like, "Okay, well, if they don't have any other options, then why stay? Why be here?" But I hope that we've brought you closer to an answer and helped you understand why for so many immigrants, America is the dream and the dream is not lost. And it looks different now. The American dream is different. And I think we could have a really cool discussion on the
Mhm.
American dream, what that means. But however that looks, it's still alive in the minds and the hearts of people who want to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think? What is American dream for you? And then I'm gonna talk about my immigrant perspective.
Yeah, I mean, what's funny is like when you ask that, we grow up here learning that the American dream is something like very specific and very straightforward, and that is, the career, the family, the house, that's the American dream. But I don't think that's the American dream anymore for most Americans, especially of my age group, millennial age group. We have come to terms with the fact that we may or we may not like own property or we have different career paths that change. Our parents often worked somewhere and retired there. Um, a lot of millennials aren't having children, aren't getting married, or are consciously choosing to become single parents, or whatever the case may be. So, the American dream for me used to be like get the degree, get the house, get the career, and you'll be good. But I have realized now that although I'm very proud of my accomplishments, I still don't feel like oh, yeah, I'm living the American dream. I think I'm getting closer to living my dream, but this is gonna sound super cheesy, but I think my dream right now is the journey, um, and that is to enjoy the journey
Mm,
because right now I want like, my perspective is changing.
yeah,
The people in my life have changed. Becoming a mother has changed me. So I think I'm still reflecting on and deciding what the American dream is for me. And that's coming from a unique perspective in that I mean, between us, obviously,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
probably not a unique perspective for a lot of people. They might feel the same way I do, but I I believe that that perspective is one that is more common of Americans now.
yeah. I think from my perspective now is like for those points that you mentioned it, what the American dream would be about, we already had that in some of the countries that we've been leaving behind. Having a house, having a
Right.
job, having a degree.
Mhm.
So we had the American dream before. But really, now that you mention it about the journey, for us, the American dream, and I'm talking about myself, but I think so many people are going to be relying on this, it's more about opportunity, it's more about freedom, and it's more about, um, I would say, sometimes dreaming, because dreaming in some places is impossible.
Yeah,
There's no way out.
right.
And here,
Like, you couldn't even think, like, that could happen.
exactly. Yeah.
Right.
And, uh, and for some people, like, the American dream is become wealthy and have a lot of money.
Yeah.
But again, it doesn't really matter where you're coming from. They're always people with a lot of money,
Yeah, that's true.
and they're struggling, and they're sad, and they're
Yeah.
having a lot.
They're struggling in other ways. Right.
So, for me personally, the American dream is having a good mental health, having a good partner.
Well, American dream, mental health.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know
the
if
point.
those 2
That's
that's a big
exactly
topic, mental health in
that's
America.
exactly where the Americans are gonna be like, wow, the American dream is almost impossible now because being like having a good mental health in America is getting harder
It
every
is
day.
getting harder, but I still like that you mentioned that because, it sure is a lot easier when you have access, right? Your mental health when you have access to resources, to mental health resources, when you have access to even, like, basic necessities such as roof over your head, food on the table. It's a lot easier to work on your mental health when you already have all of those things squared away.
Yeah,
So,
at the beginning,
I'm
it's your
kind of joking about that, but honestly, I believe that Americans probably are more, like, mental health forward right now
Mhm.
than ever before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, continue. It was
No,
just a
no.
side note because it's a big topic here. It's a big
I
discussion here.
I just was saying that at the same time it's overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah.
And for us, when you come to this country and you think, that you have everything with a click or you have access to whatever it is they want to eat and blah blah blah, is overwhelming. And then again, sometimes you don't see the opportunity because you've been raised with the opportunities right in front of you,
Yeah.
and we haven't.
Right.
So it's easier for us to see them and execute them, and that's kind of the difference. And that's why I said before that being an immigrant is a blessing sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Gives you a perspective that the average person may
Sometimes
never experienced.
I think that the United States, although it's super hard for so many things, is real life. By real life, I mean that if you don't work on yourself, if you don't make it happen by yourself,
Yeah.
nobody's gonna do it.
Right.
Because by freedom, I mean United States is equal freedom. By freedom is if you want to make it, you better work your ass off. You know, nobody's gonna do it for you.
Yeah.
Something as easy as, I don't know, filling a paperwork or getting a job or whatever is so hard here to find a person that teach you and guide you. And some people are going to be walking you through the process of doing whatever, because we come in a country that most of the things they don't work. And sadly is the way it is. And you come here and then you want to start like making it happen, but you struggle because you need to go step by step. And
Yeah.
people here, they're super busy with their own shit,
Yeah.
but I understand that.
Yeah.
And I understand the people that judge immigrants, and I understand the immigrants. So I understand.
Yeah.
I'm cool. Yeah.
You are. No, actually, one of the things I admire most about you is the fact that you do constantly seek to understand situations like this. You are not afraid to ask why. What's going on?
Mhm.
What do you think? From people of all corners. And I think that's going to make your immigrant experience um, a little easier. Being able to be forward and have those conversations is going to make it
Yeah.
easier.
I think I'm gonna be an immigrant no matter what. Even if I become a citizen,
Oh, for sure. For life. That's an experience for a
that's
lifetime and for a
that's a
lifetime.
mentality. That's a lifestyle. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you're gonna forget or whatever. No, it's all about the way that you've been like treated in life, the way that you've been raised, and your roots. They're gonna be my heart and my kids, my family. And that's something that sometimes we want to learn from America because it's the first country. And I think that there's a lot of things that Americans must learn from the immigrants.
100%. And I do believe that if all administrations, this one, the previous one, and the previous one,
Mm,
if politicians in general were more connected to the immigrant experience, and so many of our politicians have been immigrants or are children of immigrants, but it are so disconnected. But if they stayed connected to that experience, then I think we would see a difference in the way that we approach immigration in this country.
yeah,
So, anyways, I'm glad that this discussion is not so heavy on what's going on, but also about our personal experiences
yeah,
because I think that's really important. But I do just want to take a moment to say to anyone who is watching, just be kind. You do not know what anyone's going through.
yeah. And right now is a lot
Yeah.
for so many people.
Yeah. And if you don't understand, ask. And that's it's the only way.
Yeah,
Ask without judgment. But our friends, our family members, our coworkers, they need us to be supportive right now in any way that we can be. And I know that you can feel powerless when you can't help in the way you want.
Um, I don't know. You guys leave us in the comments down below. What do you think about the situation, about the podcast, and if you want us to talk more in depth with maybe a specialist, whatever, we actually can do that.
Yeah, I would love to do that. I would love for anyone who is watching to recommend someone even.
Yeah.
We are in SoCal, but we can travel a little bit from here easily, I think. But I would love to get someone on here and have like a really in-depth discussion and get schooled a little bit. That would be very cool. And I would also love to hear just from the community at large, like thoughts, feelings, just let it out.
Yeah, all of it.
Yeah.
And anything else that you want to talk about?
I feel like feeling good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know that we can get into this so much more and I want to.
Yeah, but
I want to with the right people.
we have a lot of questions, no arguments,
Exactly. Exactly.
and that's how you can help. You can leave us. I don't know, whatever is the question that you might have, leave it down below.
I love that. We have questions, not arguments, because that's
You know, I'm a genius. I'm a genius,
he's
guys.
like he's just full of inspirational quotes today.
Yeah. So it was a pleasure having you here, guys, and seeing your smiley faces. See you in the next episode. I'm tired.
I know, me too.
I'm tired, but it was a good episode.
Yeah.
It's been a long day. It's already like super late night. We gotta do it. Yeah. So it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here again. And actually, I wanna say that most of the people that are watching the content already and the previous episodes are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to, and if you want to help us, so please subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss any um, episodes, and it's completely free. So that's it. And if you want to donate $1,000, that's completely fine too.
Right. You'll help us with some more equipment. We'll be more elevated. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
we're doing what we can, you know.
We're
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, honestly, we're improving the gear. Eventually, we're gonna be doing some great things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So have a good night. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye bye.